The National Socialist Party was a political party which was active in Germany between 1920 and 1945, Adolf Hitler being their leader. But let's rewind to the beginning of the 20th century. After World War I, Germany was devastated. The people were particularly hopeless and would accept any kind of help. Adolf Hitler presented himself for the elections with particular ideologies promising glory and justice. He was persuasive during his speeches and appealing to the people, giving them hope, and soon thereafter became Chancellor of Germany and leader of the Nazis. However, what exactly were the origins of Nazism and its ideologies? One of the most significant ideological influences on the Nazis was the German nationalist Johann Gottlieb Fichte, whose works have served as inspiration to Hitler and other Nazi members. In speeches to the German nation in 1808, written amid Napoleonic France's occupation of Berlin, Fichte called for a German national revolution against the French occupiers, making passionate public speeches, arming his students for a battle against the French, and stressing the need for action by the German nation to free itself. Fichte's nationalism was populist and opposed to traditional elites, spoke of the need of a people's war, and put forth concepts similar to those the Nazis adopted. Fichte promoted German exceptionalism and stressed the need for the German nation to be purified, including purging the German language of French words, a policy that Nazis undertook upon rising to power. In 1856, French aristocrat and author Arthur de Gobineau publishes his treatise on the inequality of human races, in which he divides the human species into three races: black, white, and yellow, arguing therein that racial distinctions form a clear and natural genetic barrier of sorts. Gobineau also wrote that racial mixing would lead to chaos. This is still considered an early manifestation of scientific racism. Historian Joachim Fest, in his seminal biography entitled Hitler, claims that Arthur de Gobineau's negative views on race mixing influenced Hitler and thereby the ideology of National Socialism. In 1895, Alfred Ploetz coins the term racial hygiene, which was one of the key aspects of Nazism. By definition, racial hygiene was a set of early 20th century state-sanctioned policies by which certain groups of individuals were allowed to procreate while others weren't, with the express purpose of promoting certain characteristics deemed to be particularly desirable, such as blue eyes, blonde hair, and light skin. For example, a dark-skinned male was not allowed to have children with a blonde, fair-skinned female, since this was considered racial mixing. After becoming Chancellor of Germany in 1933, Adolf Hitler became the new leader of the Nazi Party. The Nazis were extreme fascists, which meant they operated under a dictatorship and were in opposition to liberalism, Marxism, and traditional syndicalism. Dictatorship is a form of government where political authority is monopolized by a single person or political entity and exercised through various mechanisms to ensure the entity's power remains strong. Their rejection of democracy ended the existence of political parties, labor unions, and free press. The National Socialist Party morals and goals were based off the 25 points program of the NSDAP, National Socialist German Workers' Party. These points were also what the party demanded from their supporters. The 25 points included aspects such as all citizens must possess equal rights and duties, as well as only people with German blood can become a citizen. Hence, no Jew can become a citizen. This harshness towards Jews was also displayed to Slavic people, which made members of the National Socialist Party anti-Semitist. They displayed discrimination towards Jews and anti-Slavic. Since German nationalists and racists were against communism, this made them anti-communist, anti-Bolshevik, since Bolsheviks were communist, and anti-Marxist, since Bolsheviks followed parts of Karl Marx's philosophy. The party also respected and supported euthanasia, which is by definition the termination of life by a doctor at the request of a patient, and eugenics, the social movement claiming to improve the genetic features of human populations through selective breeding and sterilization, based on the idea that it is possible to distinguish between superior and inferior elements of society with respect to racial hygiene. Like mentioned before, they believed in the creation of a Herrenrasse, which was a race of perfect humans, the Aryans. The Nazis developed many ideologies, but one of them concerned racial differences. Indeed, they claimed to scientifically measure a hierarchy of the human race. On top was the master race, also known as the Aryan race, which was defined by Nordic race with blonde hair, blue eyes, and tall. They were considered as the perfect and most pure humans. In Mein Kampf, written in 1924, Hitler wrote, "Virtue lies in blood. If we divide mankind into three categories, founders of the culture, bearers of the culture, destroyers of the culture, the Aryan alone can be considered as the representative of the first category. It was he who laid the groundwork and erected the walls of every great structure in human culture." Hitler mentions the Japanese as the example of the second category. The third was represented by the Jews. Hitler believed that all great civilizations of the past became decadent because the originally creative race died out as a result of the contamination of the blood. At the bottom of the hierarchy were the parasites, also called the subhumans, which were perceived as dangerous for the society. These people were the Slavs, Russians, Serbs, and Poles. Right after them, at the bottom of the hierarchy, were the Gypsies and the Jews, also called the unworthy of life. Unfortunately, these were not the only groups being discriminated. The obsession for the perfect human led the Nazis to also discriminate gays, dark-skinned, Asian, mentally ill, old people, and people with physical disabilities. These groups of people were commonly found in concentration camps or death camps before and during World War II. The aim of this racial classification was mainly to achieve and create the perfect Aryan race, which Hitler was so obsessed about, even though he was not a perfect Aryan himself.